All right, we are going to take this idea of learning how to make boxes above, on, and below our eye level, and we are going to try to apply this and make this into a real drawing. So, practicing, flip your paper over. This time I want you to make a horizon line that is towards the top of your paper. So not in the middle. If you're going to measure, this is about 2 inches down from the top. On that horizon line, we're going to add that point called the vanishing point. From the vanishing point, we're going to make a road. So our road is really just going to look like a triangle with the point at the vanishing point. So my road, I'm going to have it come down and angle out, and it's not anywhere near the corner. If I touch it to the corner, my road is going to look really wide. So I'm going to bring a line on the other side that is pretty equal in spacing, so that one doesn't angle out very far either. So what happens is I start to see a road where it's wider down in the foreground, and it goes to that point and looks like it's vanishing and it's getting really tiny in the background. So to make this look more like a road, I could add the dotted line. So thinking about 1-point perspective, things are tiny, really close to that dot. And then they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they might go right off the paper. So these lines shouldn't all be the same. You should be thinking about them being tiny and getting bigger and bigger. Maybe this one even connects here. So if you would like to have a sidewalk in your final drawing, that is something I want to show you how to do right now. Sidewalks are tricky. So from that dot, I'm going to make a second line on the side of my road that angles out. So again, not super far. It doesn't go near the corner of the paper. And if you want to do a sidewalk on the other side, I would do it at the same time. So another line. So looking kind of silly right now, but these are going to be the sidewalks on the side of the road. Now, adding the lines. When sidewalks are made, they're made with those lines going across them just to help with cracking and to help pour the cement. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the bottom of my paper. So it's not diagonal, it's horizontal, very straight. And I'm going to draw a little line on each part of that sidewalk. I'm going to slide my ruler up towards the vanishing point, and for the first couple, I'm going to actually just space them out the width of this ruler. So I have a line at the bottom of the ruler, and now I'm going to put a line at the top. Now I'm going to slide my ruler up. Do you notice how it's staying completely horizontal? I'm checking that I'm lining it up too with the side of the paper. That is a good way to help check. So as I continue to slide this ruler up, I want the spacing of these to be closer together because they're getting closer to the vanishing point. These lines are still very horizontal. As I get to the vanishing point, they should be in line with the vanishing point, horizontal. There is my sidewalk. What I notice kids doing is as they start doing this, their ruler starts doing this. And then they have their lines going in all different directions. So, I have a road, I have sidewalk. Let's try a building. For our drawing, most of you will end up with a building, a house, a shed, a barn, below the vanishing point. So off to the side, I am going to draw a square, just like we practiced on the other side. So this square might be a little bigger than the ones on the other side. Making sure I'm using my ruler, really practicing getting this as accurate as possible. Alright, I have a box below my eye level. So I am going to connect 1, 2, 3 corners to that vanishing point. 1, 2, 3. Once I have those 3 lines connected, I'm going to make my sides. So I'm lining it up with the side of that box, sliding this ruler towards the vanishing point, keeping it really nice and straight. There is one side of my box. So I'm not going to do a lot of shading on this because I might want to draw other things on there. Sliding it back. Okay, for this drawing, I am going to erase these guidelines so you can start to see my building. Or at this point, it just looks like a box. If I kept those lines going to the vanishing point, I would start to see what looks like buildings that are connected. Like on the square in Monroe, where you have all those shops that are right next to each other. You could continue that and have boxes right next to each other, or buildings. Roofs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think back to kindergarten when I used to make houses that had a square bottom and a triangle roof. And I'm going to make this triangle fairly equilateral, trying to make it look the same on all three sides. I'm going to erase the lines that I see inside this triangle. So that might even mean a little bit of my horizon line gets erased. Okay, so right now it looks like I have part of my roof on. From the top peak, I'm going to draw a line to the vanishing point. So this top peak now goes above my eye level. So it's going to look a little bit silly going back here. Silly, right? Okay, I need the edge of the roof over here. And it is going to be a parallel line with this triangle. So I have the edge of the triangle. I'm keeping that angle, sliding, sliding, sliding to the back corner of the house. And it's parallel with that back side. So my roof, if I erase these lines inside, here is the roof of my house. I could erase this guideline. Now I have a road, I have sidewalk, I have a house or a building. I need a few details. So I'm going to add some details to this front part of the house. So my details could just be a door. I just traced my ruler. I'll make it a fancy door. I'll put a line down the middle. Maybe it has 2 doorknobs. I could add windows here. So whenever I draw something on the front of my house, it is just normal drawing. Everything is straight up and down. I could get a little bit fancy and I suppose I could put a curved window. I might want to erase this line and have it just one solid piece of house, I suppose. When you start to add windows and doors on the side of the house, that's where it gets a little tricky. So I am going to go ahead and show you this, and it is probably the trickiest thing that you will have to do in your drawing if you choose to. So I'm going to add a little window. So my window, the sides of my window are parallel with the sides of my house. They're not going to cave in or go crooked. So I'm lining it up, sliding my ruler, and I'm going to put a line straight up and down here for the edge of my window, and I'm going to put another one back a little bit further. So here are my 2 parallel lines. The top of my window has to go to the vanishing point, and the bottom. So, ruler time, line it up with the vanishing point, line those those 2 parallel lines up, and they go to the vanishing point. So if I connected this, it would go on and on and on right there. Same thing at the bottom. These 2 are going right to the vanishing point. So it looks weird. It looks like that window is not drawn correctly. But right here is where we're closer to it. As it goes closer to the vanishing point, it starts to squish down and get tiny. So I'm going to erase those guidelines. If you wanted to do siding or bricks on your house, here's what you would do. Line it up to the vanishing point. And then my ruler is pretty much just going to pivot from that vanishing point, and I can draw lines that go to the vanishing point for my siding. And you could turn those into bricks. I probably don't want the siding through the window, so I'm going to stop it and start it. There's my siding. If I want to continue the siding on the front, that's where it stays straight. But I'd want to find that corner where my siding started to bring it across to the front. So we have a ton of drawing done here. You also get to be creative and do fun things with this building. You can add water. You can add trees. So if I think about trees that are in the front of my paper, that one's going onto the road, they would be really large in the front. As they get back in space towards the vanishing point in the horizon line, these trees would get much smaller. If they're up here, they're going to be really tiny. Maybe I'm going to have a whole forest back here. Maybe in the background I have mountains. Maybe I have the sun setting. Maybe I have animals. Maybe I have some kind of a water or pond going on here. You could have a fence. You could have tons of different things. So let's take a look at our list and see if we're missing anything from this drawing.